So you will have your clone in your phone. That's a technology.
What can you do today? And what are the things you should be careful of, not overdo it? Should I just follow Brian Johnson and do everything what he's doing?
We're living in a golden era. I'm happy to be alive in this period. Everything is moving at an unprecedented speed.
Yeah.
So AI is at an alarming speed able to connect all these different niches and create intelligence and knowledge out of it. What I would have taken years to build, I can build it in weeks.
Curing chronic disease, which is limited, versus something like weight loss or prevention, the market size is a lot bigger. Is my thinking wrong in thinking like that?
80% of the diseases are chronic diseases, and that's what we're working on. So, chronic diseases, as of now, there's no cure, they are only managed.
I lost my husband. One medicine cured one thing, but it hurts the other side. I wouldn't say victims. I was subjected to this dilemma. Which doctor should I go to? Who is going to look at him holistically? For somebody who doesn't know healthcare investment as much, where is a good starting point for them to go invest to? Just invest in CRISPR technology that everybody has access to today, right? It's public. Tell me where we should invest. We have money today, the investors in healthcare. Where do you think we should invest?
I think
Where do you see things going in healthcare in next 5 to 10 years?
hospitals will not be what you see today in 10 years from now. Most of. So I think we are taking away redundancy from the system and giving life back to patients. I'm very, very upbeat about the future.
Hi, Jyothi. Welcome to Infinity Forum podcast. I'm so excited to have you on my podcast. The reason being is you've been introduced to me by my wealth manager, Ashish. And when I looked up your LinkedIn profile, it's, oh my God, she's everything. So from being an investor to being a VC to being an entrepreneur and being a PhD and a scientist in biotech, I think you're everything soup to nuts I was looking for this podcast. So instead of doing three podcasts with three different people, I have an opportunity to do with just one, the only one, Jyothi Devakumar. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast. I will let you introduce yourself and talk about your journey in life sciences and also your recent venture, the entrepreneurship, and what does it's called Healthy Vignettes, right? Your new company.
Yes.
What does it mean and how is it changing, healthcare? We are keen to hear all that. And please know my Infinity Forum people are have investments. They're more investment sites. So give us information on where they should be investing in healthcare as well. In addition to what are you looking for your company from support standpoint? I think let's have a casual conversation. Let's get started, Jyoti.
Sure. Thank you so much, Usha. It's lovely meeting you, and thank you for this opportunity and also saying all those kind things about me. Yeah, I mean, most Indians, we're so highly competitive and we have no other option but to compete. It's like the Wild West where there is survival of the fittest, right?
Mhm,
So, yeah, I started as a scientist. I was a typical lab rat, spending 12 hours in a lab in a white coat, not going out,
mhm,
not seeing the sun, um,
mhm,
taking about an hour's break maximum during the day for tea, 2 cups of tea and one lunch.
mhm,
I spoke only to my cells, my pipettements, my spectrophotometer, my HPLCs. So that was my life for a long time. I got my PhD out of India. I was CSIR fellow, which is the Center for Scientific and Industrial Council in India. It's a highly competitive exam that lakhs and lakhs of people take, and the people that qualify is like 0.1%.
mhm,
So I was fortunate to clear that, and that meant that I could work in any laboratory in India, and that would be supported by the Ministry of Science and Technology. That was very
mhm,
fortunate for me, and I did that, and I got a PhD out of India. Then I went to France to do my postdoc, and then I was given a warm welcome back to India with a very interesting job profile for somebody who was like a lab rat, as I was saying, to go into business development without any background training to manage 100 people was phenomenal. I learned everything on the job. It wasn't easy
Mm.
because when you only know how to manage your experiments, managing people is a huge shift.
Right,
But
right.
fortunately for me, I could do it. I managed about 100 people, 70,
Mm.
75 masters and
Nice.
PhDs were all working under me. It was a contract research organization. I worked with the who's who of the big pharma, Eli Lilly's and Novartis and Roche, and
Mm,
I
mm,
used to go train people there. That was very interesting. So it was a typical offshoring model, lean mean operations, wherein you do starting from assays, you do everything that can be outsourced without impinging on the IP with the big pharma. And
mm,
then
mm.
I did a cancer research project for Eli Lilly, and I was smitten by the stem cells because my work during PhD
Mm,
was also to do with cells and culture and protein interactions. So I was fascinated by cancer stem cells, and I took off and created a company. I raised money
mm,
and we went into clinical trials, but stem cell biology was so not well advanced. We knew very little. This
mm,
was in
mm.
the early 2000s,
2000s, yeah.
early 29, I think,
Mm, mm,
2009 to be precise.
mm,
Yeah, we
mm,
didn't know much back then. We had an inkling of what these stem cells do, and we had theories and we had hypotheses. We went into clinical trials. I worked with the Ministry of Health in Malaysia. I worked with the National Pharmaceutical Control Board. I went there with one bag and I never went back home. So Malaysia became
mm.
home.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So,
Mm,
and then I created another consulting company. I consulted across the globe. I shifted to Singapore after this company. We didn't get the kind of results we wanted. I didn't want to sell snake oil. So I
mm, mm,
shifted to Singapore and changed. And that's when I entered longevity. And I've been in
mm,
longevity forever. And
mm,
then my job was to look at technologies,
mm,
technology transfers, new product development. I managed all this as a consultant, independent consultant. And then I created another company as well. And then 2020, I was working as a professor in Asia as well for a short while. I had my Candyland of a lab and I had students. I was guiding them for
mm.
PhDs. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, COVID hit. Somebody who relied on traveling for everything, suddenly I couldn't go anywhere.
Mm,
So I ended up going the venture capital way. So I had somebody who I knew in London. He reached out to me and he said, "Will you help me vet companies because you understand entrepreneurship, you understand business, you understand science."
right.
It was great. I started, but
Mm,
then I fell in love with that because instead of handholding one technology, you're able to handhold so many technologies and so many entrepreneurs.
right.
So I did my venture capital course out of Oxford remotely.
Mm, mm,
And I went in full time. I started as a venture partner, then went all the way to becoming a managing partner. But then the
mm,
AI gold rush started in
mm,
2023. I'm not a software engineer, so but I learned everything on my own. I started this company called Healthy Vignettes. So I'm trying to bring in everything that I had learned before, had experimented before, everything that I've practiced on the ground as an entrepreneur. Regenerative medicine, longevity, the disease filter, and the newly learned technique AI, brought it all together. What our company does is we specialize in chronic diseases.
mm,
And as we go along in the podcast, I'll explain more on exactly what we're doing, why we should be. We are very excited about the kind of products we're building. This is
mm,
me.
mm.
You can cut it out as much as you want, but then I just give you the whole download.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead. We can. I think every bit of information you're sharing would be helpful and useful to understand. This kind of sets the context, and I'm framing up so many questions as a follow-ups as we continue
Sure.
the podcast. So go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, do you want me to talk a little more about a Healthy Vignettes company?
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about healthy vignettes a little bit more. And you were a VC, so we want to get to a part of the longevity is the trend. It's the hype side, hype everywhere people are talking about it. Stem cells is something is also a upcoming trend or disruption. You know better what are disruptions versus what are the happening trends or what might be hype that might sunset or not be there for long. So we want to get an idea from you in in our conversation as we go through, and also investments. Where do you see the money is going in healthcare, and is it creating value? And are there areas where money is not coming? For instance, your company, because there's so much healthcare focused investments in VC firms. Do you see a gap? And for somebody who doesn't know healthcare investment as much, where is a good starting point for them to go invest to take advantage of all the innovation and disruptions happening? So cover
Sure.
that in your conversation. Doesn't have to be question and answers. Tell us a story and keep those thoughts in mind. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So let me start with one of the aspects you talked about, which is investment. Investment to me, when I was not a passive investor, I was an active investor. There's a small difference between the two, in my opinion, especially for healthcare and biotech.
Mhm,
So you have a mental map of what you want to build as an investor, where
mhm,
your legacy lies, what is that you want to impact,
mhm,
what field. For example, AI is huge.
right.
What aspect of AI? Do you want to be
Mm,
in horizontal AI? Do you want to be in a vertical AI or a specific, like maybe
domain.
healthcare?
Yeah.
What is it you want? So these questions become very, very
Mm,
predominant. For me, as a longevity investor that I was,
mm,
um, and also, I did look at agronomics. I looked at human breast milk being produced in cell culture. I've looked at all these kind of exciting fields as well. A mushroom-based leather. I've looked at allied technologies, a regenerative agriculture, but my focus was always longevity. So for me, when I look at longevity, there's two different big categories of longevity. One that is short termist, the other one is the long termist approach.
mm, mm,
Short termist is quick money.
mm,
It could be your supplements.
mhm.
It could be your longevity clinics, which is a new kid on the block, right? You hear about
Yes.
longevity clinics. I'll come
Yes.
to my opinion of what each of these categories are a little later. But let me just outline the categories first.
Mm,
And then it could be somewhere in the middle, could be your companion diagnostics
mm,
or precision diagnostics
mm,
that helps you stratify patients. It helps to understand the underlying cause of the disease. And then the next set is the extreme end is the long-termist approach, which is the therapeutic plays that have huge regulatory risk,
yeah.
which have a longer timeline as well.
Mm,
So it depends on the appetite of the investor. Is your investment thesis to make maximum impact and also play with the risk reward ratio? And at the end of the day, wait for another 10 years to get your money back in multiples, like ROI of 100x or maybe
Really.
20x, whatever it
Yeah.
is. What
Yeah.
is it you're looking at? And
Mm,
are you willing to absorb the risk that 98% of oncology companies fail,
yeah.
right?
True. True. Yeah.
And they require a huge amount of money.
Mm.
And is that sector well financed? For example, if you look at longevity today, there's a lot of hype. You
Mm. There's
mentioned
a
it.
lot of hype.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
And most of these companies are startup companies.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have an exciting, bright spark of an idea, and
Mm,
there'll be a few PhDs and a few postdocs that get together and create this company.
mm,
And when they actually go out to raise money, it's easy to raise money. They'll raise a couple of million, then they'll maybe go all the way up to 10.
mm,
But then the valley of death begins. Because to
mm,
get them go to the next inflection point,
mm,
they will not be able to raise 45 $100 million because then they goes through the hype cycle. They go through the valuation hype so that they're
mm,
just not able to raise money, and most technologies die in that valley of death. The
correct.
second valley of death is even if they go through the FDA, there's
Mm,
always this problem as to what disease is it a platform technology or is it a disease specific technology? What I mean by that is if you have a gene that you can deliver, if it's a vector that carries the gene into the body, is able to sites in a site specific manner or organ specific manner, deliver the gene of interest, that's a platform technology because you can take any gene, tackle any disease with that.
yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you're looking at a specific disease, so recently there was a paper, this is why I took a couple of days extra from you to be able to read up these things, right? So it's a
Mm-hmm.
new technology that came out which talked about using CRISPR to decrease cholesterol and triglycerides by
Nice.
50 to 55% within a very short interval in a sustained manner,
Mm-hmm.
right? That because it touches everything in cardiovascular indications,
Right.
metabolic diseases, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to touch, maybe very remotely, but it's not going to directly impact any neurodegenerative diseases. So this
Mm-hmm.
is vertical specific or disease specific therapeutics.
Right, right.
So, in a nutshell, there's this whole plethora of different niches that exist within longevity, like any other field. One
Mm-hmm.
needs to understand them. A lot of people don't understand the nuances,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the
Mm-hmm.
second point I want to talk about when it comes to investing is active versus passive. So,
Okay.
once you have your investment thesis, are you going to look at technologies that map into that thesis that you have? Find companies, approach them actively, and make investments? Or are you going to just collect all the companies? Because if you're when you're an investor, people are pitching to you all the time. I'm sure you know about that. And
Right.
people do the same to you as well, I guess. So then
Mm-hmm.
you pick what interests you and you invest. That's more of a passive investor. So I was an active investor. For example, for me, if I wanted to place a bet on mitochondrial regeneration, because with age, there's depletion in number of mitochondria, efficiency of function, and also
Mm-hmm.
faulty mitochondria accumulate in the
Mm-hmm.
body. So if you want to hit all the three with one technology, what would that be? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
very essential that you want to be a longevity investor, you
Mm-hmm.
need to target mitochondria. So what would that be? So actively reach out
Mm-hmm.
to companies,
Mm-hmm.
and I picked up the best technology and I made a bet
Mm-hmm.
on that. And
Mm-hmm.
then there were, of course, about 10-15% of non-specific passive investments as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, longevity investment is not one, okay, I am going to make a bet in metformin derivatives, or I'm going to make autophagy, look at autophagy. It's exactly drill down on what is it you want as an investor,
Right.
what your goals
Right.
are, and tailor make these investments to that.
Mm-hmm.
The last point is for investors, especially when you speak to founders like me,
Mm-hmm.
every technology sounds interesting because we know
Right.
how to tell the story,
Right. Of
right?
course. Yeah.
And then to understand a differentiating good technology from bad technology is not very difficult.
Mm.
But to understand the difference between commercializable technology
Yeah.
and what belongs in the academia is the toughest part of investment.
Mm.
For example, senolytics, right? Everybody talks about senolytics. Senolytics, as there are different types of cells, 200 different types of cells. There are multiple cells within the body, trillions of cells. And as we age, every cell comes to a decision point wherein it has to go into one of the three pathways. One, it can just die because it's exhausted its capacity to multiply, be of value. Or it could become a cancerous cell, or
Mm.
it could become a senescent cell. Senescent cell is a zombie cell. It does nothing. It just sits there.
Right.
It's
Right.
heavy on the nutrients, it's heavy on the resources in the body, and it slowly starts recruiting other cells around it to become senescent cells.
Mm.
So then there are technologies to either kill these senescent cells or convert them back into normal cells. Both the different types of technologies exist. There are a lot of companies. But unfortunately, even to this day, we don't have a company
Commercial.
that is able to understand what is a senescent load in a specific person, depending on the age, sex,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
depending on the ethnicity. What is your
Mm-hmm.
senescence load? And if I administer senolytics, will this load go down or will it stay constant? So there are no assays available today. There are assays to study them in the lab, but nothing, no assay available in the
Mm-hmm.
market wherein they can do a clinical trial. So
Mm-hmm.
again, for me, these are the kind of questions that need to be asked to say, okay, Am I ready to invest in this company? So
Mhm.
this is the
Mhm.
longevity space. There is a lot of excitement there, but there's a lot of hype as well. One needs to be wary of.
Understood. So I think from what you said from investment standpoint, right? I don't think as an investor who doesn't have a background in healthcare, we can understand the stories, but can be very proactive and looking for as an active investor, as you talked about. We will rely on some VC skill set, people like you to make the decisions, and we trust and follow you as a as an investor. So with that said, I think any VC firms you suggest, or any healthcare sectors, or even Eli Lilly, the big ones versus public market investments, like the weight loss medication became such a run on investments, right? People made so much money out of that. I think longevity to coming from this big companies, they kind of buy out the smaller ones, right? The innovative ones, they eventually go into Eli Lilly's or Merck's, or and then even after they acquire the smaller companies, there's still a opportunity to invest in something which is trendy and still make money in the market as a public investment. And so, yeah, little any guidance on that on investments, and second part is on the longevity, right? For us, we are all in my forum healthy people, not many chronic diseases, but longevity is the trend. We all want to live long, and it's so confusing as a consumer of longevity. Where do you start? What can you do today? And what are the things you should be careful of, not overdo it? Should I just follow Brian Johnson and do everything what he's doing? Because so or what are the things we should be careful about? Anything you want to advise there, and also talk to us about your company a little bit more, and what kind of why healthy vignettes, because I'm sure after looking at everything holistically, you have so much experience, and you picked a niche where you want to contribute and make a difference. Want to understand that as well. I think I threw many questions all once, but
No problem.
yeah, you go
I,
ahead and
I do I do remember the sequence. So let me start with, you talked about GLP-1, right? It was a drug, and that was um not so many people thought it's going to make the kind of money it's going to make, right?
absolutely, it was crazy how much money it made.
It's still making money.
It
It's
is, yeah,
still
true.
touching several, and the kind of results that are coming up
Mm,
in different clinical trials, because the more they splice the data, it's like you look
mm,
at the data from a holistic perspective and you read something, but you need to splice the data into multiple sections, and you do see a lot of other results as well. So now they are talking about
mm,
impact on metabolic health, impact on neurological health.
mm,
Multiple things are coming out of these studies, and it seems to be going stronger and stronger.
mm,
So, unfortunately, in my opinion, limited opinion, I don't think you can get another blockbuster or predict another blockbuster coming up in the classical drug discovery sense.
mm, mm,
So, if you look at historically, there have been several inflection points in medicine and biotech. We
mm,
started off in 1980s with PCRs, and then it was microarrays, and then it was whole genome sequencing. They all made money, but they didn't make
mm.
money the way we're looking at GLP-1 making money,
Correct.
right? Or
Yeah,
Viagra making money.
yeah.
So I think there is these opportunities once in a
Mm,
decade, or an inflection point kind of opportunities do come. I think AI is one such opportunity here.
mm,
So historically in science, we studied one gene at a time, one protein at a time. That changed to studying the whole genome, studying the whole proteomics. Omics came in.
mm,
But only now we are able to connect the dots.
mm.
Everything is moving at an unprecedented
Speed.
rate, speed,
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
And we are, so data was in clinical trials, data was in publications, data was in hospitals. One pool of data did not speak to the other pool of data. Everything was in silos. So AI is at an alarming speed able to connect all these different niches and create intelligence and knowledge out of it. That is why I couldn't resist but to move into this field, give up. I would love to go back into investing some time, but then I want to get this company off its feet and then do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that is one difference. So I don't think AI companies would be companies anymore. Like
Mhm.
looking at Google, looking at the net is become like a walk of life. AI also
Yeah.
will become a walk of life. But then where all is it going to create an impact? And those impact pockets are the ones that the investors
Mhm.
should focus on. For example,
Mhm.
just last week, there was a
Mhm.
publication that talked about alpha genome. You've heard of alpha fold, right? Where
Mhm.
it's all our bodies have something called proteins.
Mhm.
Proteins are structural and functional units in the body. That means most of the functions that happen in the body are regulated and carried out by proteins. Structurally, also, they're like the backbone of the body. So there are about 25,000 proteins only. But if you look at the subunits, if you look at the different ways they behave, what we call as conformations, and look at all the animal proteins, there are many, many, 200,000 different proteins, let's say, just give a number. So now we it took crystallographers years and years to study one protein or one specific pocket within a protein because they wanted to say, okay, if I make a drug to bind to this protein in this particular region, I can
Mhm.
stop the protein from functioning. Because
Mhm.
aberrant proteins are one of the major culprits for
Mhm.
diseases. So if I
Mhm.
block and inhibit this protein, I'll have a drug was the
Right. Right.
philosophy, right?
Mm.
So they were studying proteins, but with AI,
Mhm.
Demis Hassabis, who got the Nobel Prize, he
Mm.
sequenced all the proteins. He created the crystal structure of all these subunit proteins. Now there's a
Mm.
database called AlphaGo by Google
Mm.
DeepMind that's available.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Maybe there are mistakes. Maybe there is. It's more of a hype. But still, today
Mm.
we don't have to wait 5 years for every piece of the protein
Single
to be
protein.
deciphered.
Yeah.
And Alpha Genome, which came out a couple of weeks ago, is
Mhm.
all the genes and all the different mutations that the genes
Mm.
can go through and how do they impact disease states. So
Mhm.
for me, someone like me who's building, using this intelligence to build treatable layers that could be useful for patients and physicians, this is like the window of opportunity. What I would have taken years to build, I can build it in weeks now.
Right. Right.
Right. So
Mhm.
whatever knowledge that we
Mhm.
had is all can all be used in an enhanced manner to create value for every stakeholder, investors, entrepreneurs, physicians,
Mhm.
and patients.
Mhm.
So we're living in a golden era. I'm happy to be alive in this period.
It is, yeah, it is mind-boggling and super exciting because I worked at Amazon. I was to lead the auto industry vertical and then semiconductors. And when I started working with the healthcare industry, that was my exposure to healthcare. And the AI ML team I used to have, and for auto, small sidetrack story, for auto industry, it was, I would have 6 or 7 AI/ML workloads, or semiconductors, few workloads. When it came to healthcare, I don't know, 100 workloads. It's like there's so much work happening in AI/ML. That's when it occurred to me, my God, healthcare is going to take off like crazy with the AI than any other industry. It's going to speed up the whole process of everything it's been done, discovery, drug, all everything that can. And so, as you said, so from Google, what it's been doing, the deciphering of the proteins and all, you talked about it. Now, you're adding a layer on top of it. That deciphering, that knowledge is available to create solutions or therapies or, um, drugs or what you're talking about is an opportunity, huge opportunity. I'm just telling, I'm just restating what you said. I'm so
Sure.
excited. And that's why it's like we don't want to miss out on healthcare investments. Now looking at from the investments making real difference in people's life. Everything else, AI is there, but it'll be more of a productivity gains in other industries. And it might be little a step function, but real revolutionizing things are going to happen in healthcare. So I'm super excited about it. And I don't know if GLP is still a money making engine in healthcare. I'm sure there are a lot of other things would come up.
Yeah.
And also my thought, I might be wrong. Curing a chronic disease which is limited versus something like weight loss or prevention, the market share or the market size is a lot bigger. So I would like to be investing in things which the market size is a lot bigger, and longevity things, or diabetes might be a bigger market size. I don't know. Rather than, is my thinking wrong in thinking like that?
Not at all, not at all. Chronic diseases are where the money is, and we are working only on
Mm,
chronic diseases.
mm,
So, yeah, let me talk about my company a little bit. Then I'll come to what I am doing for longevity, what can be done for longevity, because that's one of the questions you asked me to
mm,
talk about.
mm,
So, if you take all diseases that plague mankind, right? There are
mm,
so many.
mm,
In our database internally, we have about 28,000 diseases.
mm,
We have internal databases that we've built, physically checked for accuracy and all that, because there are so many databases. So we have taken slices of everything and we've built our own independent database. So
28,000. Wow.
28.
Mm, mm,
So now, if you
mm,
look at all these, they fall into three different baskets. The first basket of diseases is all these babies are born with, right? Or they inherited, or they get these like cerebral palsy because of an ischemic event that happens just after birth.
mm,
We're not looking at that.
mm.
That is something that CRISPR, I would love to talk about CRISPR as well, because that's one area that
Wow.
you could possibly invest, because there
Mhm.
are some discoveries that have happened in the recent past with CRISPR that if I were to be running a venture fund, that's something I would scout for and invest.
Wonderful.
I'll tell you why that is a little later. So those diseases are for CRISPR kind of
Gene
easy
editing.
place.
Mm,
The second one is infectious diseases. You have a
mm,
known etiology. That means you know what's causing the disease. You know how
mm,
it progresses. Then you know what to give them. Maybe an antibiotic, maybe a cocktail of antibiotic, maybe a vaccine. Then you have taken care of that. But
mm.
now COVID taught us that depending on the age and the metabolic health and immune health, different people express the susceptibility and severity of the disease changes.
Differently. Yeah.
But then we're not working on it within Healthy Vineyards.
Mm,
The
okay.
80% of the diseases are
Mm,
chronic diseases, and that's what we're working on.
mm,
So 20 years ago, we would when we went to the doctor, they would look at us and say, "What happened?" And you would say, "I
mm,
have fever." And then, or your parents would say, "I have fever. My child has fever."
mm,
And then 3 days later, "Oh, okay, take this and go home." And take it for 3 days, nothing happens. You go back again. "Oh, my son has fever. What happened?" "Oh, fever." The same fever is continuing. He wouldn't even remember what he'd given you 3 days ago.
mm, mm, mm,
He would give the same thing, and then the parents would point out, "No, no, no, you gave it 3 days, it's not working," and he'll change it. But
mm.
that's changed into electronic mortuary of data. That is what I call it, the EHRs. Like
Yeah, yeah.
people would enter, and there would be call
Mm,
centers, transcription centers back in whatever countries, and they would listen to those recording, and they were not trained in medicine, but they would just enter the data and it would all come back. Or for
mm,
every patient, twice the amount of time would be spent by the nurses and doctors in entering the data,
mhm,
getting all these handwritten data. Mistakes would be made, medical malpractice suits would happen, people would die, subjective analysis of data would happen, nothing objective would happen. So all this, only now with AI, for
mm,
example, we want to build several tiers of tools to address
mm,
all the problems here. So what we
mm,
first built is called the data gateway or the data bridge.
mm,
So what it does is if I were to install, which we are actually beta testing in one of the 500 bed hospitals in India, because we have an MOU with them, is if I install the product, it can sit in the server or it can sit in a GPU in your office if you're a doctor. It can serve clinics, it can serve big hospitals, or it can stay in the hospital server so that they have control on it. So there is an AI scribe which
mm,
listens and then it's able to extract, irrespective of what accent you have, irrespective of what language you're speaking, and it's able to convert that into English in real time. And then it's able to enter. We have also built a backend EHR, and it's
mm,
able to enter the data in real time. All that the nurse and the doctor has to do is to look at and say, yes, submit, because I see that everything is consistent, because we
mm,
need to have a human in the loop because
mhm.
AI has not come to a point wherein we can leave
Correct. Yeah.
it independently to run hospitals, which will happen,
Correct.
in my opinion. That's the
Right.
futuristic view to answer your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
What does the future hold, right?
Mhm, mhm,
So that's the simplest thing we've built. But then, if you talk to a cardiologist,
mm,
and you have, if somebody has three different diseases, let's say cardiology and cancer,
mm,
and also maybe a neurological disorder, there's not a
mm.
single doctor who's able to look at all these different disciplines
Tell
and
me
be a
about it.
specialist in all
Yeah.
this. Whereas a tool
Yeah.
we built is able to navigate these artificial boundaries that people have set up and is
Mhm.
able to look at human as a one single compartment having three different diseases or three
Wonderful.
or five
Yeah.
different conditions.
Yeah.
And it's able to, so chronic diseases, as of now, there's no cure. They are only managed,
Right.
right?
Symptom
So, for
test.
example, if with somebody has osteoarthritis, they're unable to walk or climb stairs, they go and what do they doctors give them? Steroids. Steroids actually cause tissue destruction and they enhance the wear and tear in the knees. They give people painkillers, the threshold for which piles up and then they stop working altogether. The only option is knee replacement. Whereas here, what we are able to do, we're not talking about supplements, we're not talking about outside of medicine, but we are able to manage the patient across disciplines in a holistic manner with the personalization lens on. We've built intuitiveness. That means if, for example, for whatever reason, if the patient who's bringing in the record is soiled or it's become brown, it's an old record 10 years ago, and if it reads as 104, but it's actually 1.04, our tool is going to suggest that it's 1.04, it's not 104 because that number cannot be 104. So
Mhm.
that is what I call intuitiveness. And on the top of it, we've built a layer of intelligence. That means it's able to pull data from every corner, irrespective of what discipline it is. It's able to analyze, it's able to give you a pattern. So as I go walk into the clinic, if I say that my complaint today is I have chest pain, could be for many, many reasons. And it's intuitively going to tell the doctor what are the possibilities there. And then base as I speak and as I narrate my symptoms further, then it's going to narrow down. It's going to give the doctor the prescription, the diagnosis, the prescription. Let's say I am a 70-year-old
So
woman.
you're eliminating the doctor in the loop.
We're not eliminating, we're
And now
giving
I'm just saying,
opinion. Yes.
simplifying it for him. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So well, I'm happy to share some of our use cases. We
Mm,
have picked use cases. This is one of it is a real case.
mm,
So there is this person who goes in, he has dyskinesia.
mm,
That means tremors.
mm, mm, mm,
But this happened in the US.
mm,
So
mm,
doctors, neurologists look
mm,
at the dyskinesia first and say, oh, it's Parkinson's disease.
mm,
Put him
mm,
on L-DOPA.
mm.
Nothing. 5 years. The therapy goes on not for 1 day, 2 days. 5 years is on
Oh my
L-DOPA.
God. Yeah.
And then his BP is high, his kidney function is declining, and multiple organs are suffering in the process, and dyskinesia is not going down. And then after 5 years, they go for a second opinion and they look at him and say, this is not um, uh, Parkinson's disease at all. It's SMA, the motor atrophy, because all the motor nerves are being atrophied. Therefore, he's having multiple organ failure. So the golden period for treating SMA is only 5 years.
Oh
So
God.
that first 5 years, because he was given the wrong drug, he lost an opportunity. Today, his lifestyle is highly compromised. He's not able to walk.
Mm,
So, and these are the kind of things that an AI can catch earlier on. So, our focus is to build these different layers to help the doctors not to miss something that would be obvious to the AI, but because of the subjectivity, because of, they're trained to look at what stands out for them. They're not going to look at every piece of the data.
right, right.
So, and also there is genes involved, and also there's
Mm,
age grouping involved in detection of SMA. So, all these things, the AI is going to remind them. That's what we've built. And then,
mm,
lastly, what we want to do is, not lastly, last but one feature that we've built is, let's say I take metformin. Let's say I'm 40 years old and then I have insulin resistance and I want to take metformin. And then over a period of time, I I understand that I'm not feeling all that well. I'm sleeping well, but I'm waking up next morning completely fatigued. I don't feel rested.
mhm,
And then if you go to the doctor, 40 years, you're old already, so don't worry about it. These are parts and parcel of life. May
mhm.
not be in the US, but in India, definitely, right? 45, 50 year
Yeah,
old
yeah,
woman going and saying, oh, I feel tired in the morning. Oh, don't worry, this happens.
yeah, yeah. It's your age.
Most countries, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand. We've built in a database that is able to retrieve based on the ethnicity, based on all the dynamics of the patient presence, what could be the micronutrient deficiencies.
Mhm, mhm,
Micronutrient deficiencies are the ones that show up as these unexplainable problems.
mhm,
So the
mhm,
minute doctor puts a patient on metformin or any other associated drug, the tool is going to say, check this on these and these and these intervals, supplement with these many micrograms of these micronutrients.
mhm,
So it's going to also tell you what diagnosis needs to be done, what diagnostics need to be done. So it's going to take everything together. And then we
mhm,
built a number of features into it. It's going to interpret all these X-rays and all these things even before the
sure.
doctor has a chance. So it's
Mhm.
able to, and we're trying to create a patient-facing version as well.
I
Once
was
we've
about to ask.
validated these
Yeah.
algorithms in the
Mm,
hospital clinic with
mm,
clinician supervision, we want to create, we want to, instead of trying to drive patients to hospital, we want to provide where care is required,
mm,
especially
mm.
in older geriatric setting, which is true longevity.
Mhm,
And then lastly, what we're trying to do is if a 40-year-old walks in and says, I am of Chinese origin and I have my genetic profile is this, and my family history of diseases is XYZ, our tool will tell what is the risk hazard ratio of you developing any given disease in the next 5 years to 10 years.
mhm, mhm,
What are the actionables that you could take today to mitigate those risks?
mhm,
So
mhm.
that prediction algorithm is currently being built. So we
Nice.
wanted that. So I think I liked one of the points you made earlier on, which
Mm,
is you said Eli Lilly and these big pharma companies,
yeah.
they buy over these modalities or treatments or small molecule drugs and they make it a blockbuster one because
Correct.
these pharma companies are well-oiled machines to do clinical
Right.
trials. They have the wherewithal, they have the money, they have the patient population, they know where to go. They
Correct.
have networked effectively with all the regulators.
Mm,
So similarly for AI, I don't a small company, highly innovative company with hand-chosen people,
mm,
each an expert in his or her own domain. I don't want to go public or I don't want to go and put it in 50 different or 100 different hospitals and become a call center myself supporting those hospitals. My goal is to go into hospitals, install this in a few hospitals, maybe 10, 25 hospitals maximum, large hospitals and small clinics, different disciplines, different specialties. And then
Mm,
once we have validated everything, once we're sitting on a pile of data, then we want to be attractive to an M&A so that,
mm,
the big pharma equivalent, the Googles and Microsofts will take care of distributing this.
mm, mm,
Next comes the data, right? That's where everybody says, oh my God, everybody's fighting for data. It's a gold mine. It's better than oil. World
mm.
War IV will happen because of data supremacy, not because people want oil or land anymore.
Right.
I differ only because
Mm,
data is everywhere, right?
mm,
When we run in the morning, that's data because you're exercising your heart, your lungs. There is an
mm,
improvement. That's data. So data is everywhere.
mm,
What
mm.
to do with the data, not too many people know. So
Yeah.
that's the advantage we bring in because we have so much experience. My co-founder is a medical doctor. She was a surgeon in a 500-bed multi-specialty hospital for 10 years.
Mm,
She felt frustrated by the system. She left and went to Oxford. She did her AI/ML course, came back. She's with me full time. So we're building it together. And I have
mm,
another person who is to work with satellite communications. He's an engineer, AI engineer, and he is with
mm,
me full time. So this
mm,
is the kind of handpicked team we have. We know what to do with the data, how to
mm,
convert the data to knowledge to intelligence. And that's
mm,
what. So if we are sitting on a pile of data by the end of another couple of years, and we have all these algorithms that we have validated and we have built the tools to assemble everything together. I think we have a fair chance to win in this gold rush that's happening.
of course.
And more importantly, we'll be able to help people create the
Mm-hmm,
right kind of impact.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Uh, what you've done is phenomenal, Jyoti, because this is it's a pet peeve of many, many people, the survivors, like the widow I am, how I lost my husband, because cardiologist just looks at the heart and neurologist looks at the brain, and they're given medicines or hurting, one medicine to, cure one thing, but it hurts the other side. So
True.
I wouldn't say victim, so I was subjected to this dilemma of which doctor should I go to, who is going to look at him holistically. So I was on the other side of it, and do I saw the pain. So very humble that you do what you're doing. And taking my personal story aside, so for you to grow, are you installed, or you in US? Are you you have customer base in US, and now you're looking at more of a, or is it you think your entry point it's easier with the more regulations here versus less like in Asian countries? What's your plan? Because you said you're going to Dubai and looking at hospitals in India.
Sure.
So just want to understand what's your next steps now that you have a product. Yeah. Go to
So,
market.
y-
Yeah.
yeah, so we are ready to go to market. We are vetting the product, the beta testing part in India, only because, yes, as you rightly pointed out, regulations are much more easier. And I
Mm-hmm.
can get into a 500,000 bed hospital and stress test the model.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have to go to MD Anderson, because I was in MD Anderson 2 months ago, in 2 months ago, I had discussions with a number of people. And it's like a fortress. By the time I actually get all the work done, documentation done will be 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, so I want to go into the clinics in America because
Mm-hmm.
ours is already compliant. It's HIPAA compliant, it's SOC 2 compliance. We're building in GDPR compliance. There's a universal language called FIRE. So we have adapted our
Yeah.
tool to FIRE so that we can integrate it with any EHR. And we've also built an agent that automatically integrates our product with the EHR. For example, if somebody doesn't want to use the EHR we have built, it'll communicate with their EHR or the electronic health records. So we are looking at four different countries. One we're looking at is India. Second one we're looking at the Middle East because people are very receptive to AI-based healthcare technologies in the Middle East.
Middle East.
And
Mm.
we're looking at China as well. And
Oh, wow.
America, we'll come to America at the end, towards
Mm.
the end.
Mm.
China, one of the provincial governments has given us $500,000 and
Mm,
not given, it's a grant that they've given. So we'll be
mm,
implementing that in China very soon. China, India, Middle East, and then coming
mm.
back to the US is our marketing strategy.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so we have built a number of agents and we've built a number of RAGs so that we are not taking data from one country. Our
Mm.
tools are building intelligence by recognition of patterns. We don't take data at all. Every
Mm.
piece of data stays in the country that
Stays in the
it
country.
originates.
Yeah, yeah,
So we're not
yeah.
violating any rules.
Okay.
Um, Quickly coming to what am I doing for longevity,
Yeah, I was
right?
about to ask longevity. Yes. So
Longevity.
what are you doing? What should we do? It's like yeah, even stem cell therapies, right? Is it like anything proactively we have to do from longevity standpoint? Uh, and precision medicine also. Did you talked about precision medicine, all the new things which is not hype, which would be a reality and which will stay. And where do you see things going in healthcare in next 5 to 10 years? The EHR records you're talking about, right? I rather like, instead of my hospital carrying or having the data, I would like to have it on me, with me all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like I don't trust my data being here and there. I should own it. I should have the it should be my data.
It should not only be your data, that's the patient facing stuff we're building.
Mm,
And we have a very unique way of connecting you to across different hospitals. Let's say you go to a cardiology hospital, you go to nephrology hospital, neurology hospital, you
mm,
will be able to seamlessly collect data from all of this and store
mm,
it on your phone
mm,
and give it to your physician when you want it at a click of a button
correct,
is what we're building as well. We have built
correct.
an agent. So you will have your clone in your
Mm,
phone.
mm, mm,
That's a
mm.
technology, right?
That's
And
wonderful.
we are
Yeah.
about 6 months away from that because we
Mm,
want to validate and then what also we want to give you is you should be able to look at your trends.
right.
You started on, let's say I started on cholesterol medication, statin 6 months ago. Am I reacting to it? I feel
Mm,
tired. But then am I
mm,
reacting? Is it working for me or should I go for PCSK9 inhibitors?
correct. Correct.
These are the kind of
Absolutely.
questions you should ask the doctor. Or let's say
Right.
you're going to an MRI
Yeah.
appointment, and then let's say you're claustrophobic.
Mm. Yeah, I
What
am
do you do?
actually.
Yeah,
I do.
what should you do?
Yeah.
Because the minute you go into MRI, you palpitate, and all your values are going to be distorted. Let me add
Correct.
another layer to it. Let's
Mm,
say creatinine levels are very high,
mm,
and the MRI involves contrast. What would you do?
mm, mm.
So instead of panicking and discovering and canceling the
Running.
appointment and coming back,
Yeah.
it can all be seamless. You can read up, you can put your preferences, and it'll tell you exactly what you need to be prepared for. And it'll make calls to the hospital on your behalf and explain all this. And it will tell you what you should do. And it'll alert them saying that, okay, she needs XYZ medications to go under before she goes in, or she needs this relaxant, or
Right.
she needs this amount of this contrast is not going to work for her. So it's going to
Mm,
be your assistant, medical assistant, so to say. It's not going to take decisions for you, but it's going to assist you in every way. So these are the two things we're building. And
yeah.
I, for longevity for me,
Mm,
is highly personalized. For me, the entire
mm,
field of medicine is personalized.
true.
Because if you look around,
Mm,
everybody ages differently.
mm.
And the discovery that I was talking about is 55% of longevity is inherited.
Ah,
This came out
okay.
only a few days ago, this paper.
Wow. No, that's
Earlier, intrinsic
mm.
longevity and extrinsic longevity. Intrinsic,
Mm.
yeah, I'm sorry, Usha, I can talk for hours and hours and hours.
No, 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 no. This is good.
Sorry.
Yeah, we will
Intrin
conclude. Yeah.
Yeah, extrinsic longevity is, I mean, we can even have another session. I don't mind. If you have additional questions and you want to pick my brain again, I'm
Mm,
available on Saturday. So, extrinsic longevity is if you were an ideal lab animal and you were
mm,
given everything in measured quantities and no stressors, how long would you live?
mm.
Sorry, that's intrinsic longevity. That means it's not being impacted by
Dependent on by
suicide,
external.
it's not
Yeah.
impacted by accidents, it's not impacted by predators, nothing.
Mm, mm,
That so that's intrinsic longevity. That
mm,
until now, people thought that it's only by 15% associated with the genes and
mm.
inheritance. But now, last
Now it's
week,
55.
science showed that it is Science Journal published a paper, the
Mm,
twin studies, which showed 55%. That means everybody is
mm,
running back to
mm.
calculate everything that we knew in longevity is going to change. So,
Right.
I mean, for us, we don't have to change much in what we're building because we are basing everything on personalization. So that
Right.
means
Right. Right.
my hereditary patterns, my omics is going to decide how long I'm going to live.
Mm,
So I would say listen to your body.
mm,
If you
mhm,
get 8 hours sleep and you still feel tired, you have a question there.
mm,
If you eat
mm,
very good diet and you're still not losing weight,
mm,
that's a question. If you're
mhm.
extremely lean, you have insulin resistance. That's a contradiction.
Mm.
That means
Yeah.
your body doesn't know how to handle glucose,
Mhm,
but it doesn't know where to put it. So, what it's going to do, it's going to put it all around big organs. So, the effect of a lean person having insulin resistance is much more dangerous than a fatter person having insulin resistance.
mm,
So, these are the kind of things that I would look for. What do I do personally? I take a multivitamin tablet. And I don't eat gluten because I feel that it's very, very, very processed. And I don't have gluten insensitivity
mm,
or gluten sensitivity, but I don't eat it because I don't want to. I want to feel, I don't want to
mm,
have brain fog or I want to function optimally.
mm,
The second thing is um, I eat animal fat more than seed
mm,
oil because they're
mm,
inflammatory. I am
mm,
a big believer of ghee and butter.
mm,
All of my cooking happens in ghee.
mm.
I don't know how many of your investors are Indians, but we know
There.
ghee and we know how to make ghee at home. So I
Mm,
make organic
mm,
ghee and I eat organic ghee.
mm,
Yeah, and I eat very little sugar.
mm.
When I was going
Yeah.
through my divorce and 2 years ago, I
Mm,
weighed 64 kilos. I was fat.
mm,
Now that also brings up mental health, right?
mm,
How
mm,
engaged you are. What is the age of, are you feeling the agency in yourself? Do you love
mm,
yourself? All these things come into picture. So
mm,
mental
mm,
health is a part of what we have built. We're not
mm,
advising anybody. We're trying to say, for example, if a patient comes in and you give him 10 medications to take, what is the compliance level? Is he mentally okay? Is he going to follow
yeah, yeah.
through? What measures does, as a doctor, do you need to take? These are the kind of questions we ask.
Mm,
And lastly, what's the future, right?
mm,
I am very aggressive when it comes to the future
mm,
because I've been through the stem cell fiasco. I mean, I would call it a fiasco because there is so
mm,
much hope.
mm,
There's millions and billions of dollars were spent,
mhm,
but then nobody accounted for the heterogeneity because every one of us is different and every
mm,
cell in our body is different. The stage that we
mm,
take those cells are different. If you're taking
mm,
stem cells from a highly variable compartment like a human body, culture it
mhm,
outside, like you're inducing more variables and heterogeneity into it, and you put into another black box called another human. So that means the amount of variables that you're introducing into that one experiment, you're not accounting for it and you're hoping for the best. That's what
mm,
happened,
mhm,
right?
mm,
So it became more of a hype. We didn't know enough to understand all this, but fortunately, with the AI, all this is going to be resolved,
mm,
and these have become therapeutic cells. That means you can put whatever you want in them
mm.
and then make them express. These become medicinal cells.
Correct. Yeah.
So live therapy is what
Mm,
they will become very soon. And you can do organ engineering with them. You can create organs because
mm.
most accidents happen. People
Right, 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 right.
injure organs or organ failures happen. Like
Mhm,
diabetic, type 1 diabetes, people always have chronic kidney disease, most of
yeah.
them, high
Mhm,
incidence.
mhm,
So this is where stem cells come into picture. And for me, the future is very bright. I'm happy to be alive in these times.
mhm,
I think hospitals
Mm.
will not be what you see today in
Okay.
10 years from now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think for chronic diseases, which is 80% of the diseases, any of us need to go to the hospital. Most of the things could be managed
Mm,
via telemedicine
mm,
and the patient being educated enough. Medicine
mm,
doesn't have to be so technically intensive that the
mm,
patient don't understand how to do it. It's already happening, right? For example, now health GPT, you can upload your file and it'll tell you what is wrong, how to read
mm,
the pattern. So if only we provide privacy and we connect you to the right hospitals that you normally go to, then what is the need for going to hospitals? Like,
mhm,
you don't go to the insurance company, claim insurance when you have to change oil for your car, right?
mhm.
That's how
Yeah. Yeah.
simple it'll become. Care will
Yeah. Yeah.
come to you. You don't have to go seeking care, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And effective strategies to manage diseases, even if somebody has diabetes, if they know how to manage diabetes or cardiovascular risk, downstream diseases, because every disease, say diabetes type 2, leads to
Mm,
limb ischemia, and then it leads to glaucoma, it leads to hypertension, it leads to cardiovascular indication, it leads to peripheral neuropathy, multiple
mm,
conditions. So there's one disease, there are downstream diseases. If we can
mm,
predictively, our predictive algorithm also talks about the diseases that are downstream and diseases
mm,
that are upstream. So, for example, if somebody has had diabetes during the gestation, how
mm,
does it affect adult life gestation or midlife gestation?
mm,
Midlife diabetes incidence. So these are the
mm.
kind of things we link. And if you're
Mm.
able to manage, those downstream diseases need not even happen to a person.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So
Yeah.
we are truly what we are building is a longevity um,
Mm,
3.0 or 4.0, whatever you want to call it. So I think
mm,
we are taking away redundancy from the system and
mm.
giving life back to patients. I'm very, very upbeat about the future.
Wonderful. So, from everything you said, what I learned, if I kind of say one takeaway point is it's so personalized. And you also use the word, did you say the clone of yourself, a
Digital
digital
clone.
clone of
The
yourself?
people call it digital twin. I call it clone because twins
Clone.
also have differences. We
Yeah.
don't want a single difference between you and your. It should real time.
Exactly.
Like
Correct.
every
Correct.
year, it needs to correct itself. Every month, it
Correct.
needs to correct itself.
Correct. So, to get to that very personalized uh, diagnostics or prescription or well-being or longevity that might apply to me, that I should be thinking of my health, where do I start today? You used health GPT. I have some records, you call it EHR, some records, whatever I have, and I know myself. I know how I'm responding to some medicines. I know how my sleep pattern is. Can I put all this into some personal GPT, as you talked about, and get something as things I should watch out on, or some feedback, if not for
Okay.
a solution?
I
So,
can I can respond to that in multiple tiers, right? Very
mm,
quickly. One
mm,
is yes, Health GPT exists. You can put
mm,
it there, but
mm,
then they say it's very secure, but I don't know,
mm,
right?
mm, mm,
So if you give us 3 months to 6 months, we should be able to build it, and you will be able to have it securely on your phone, your records. You decide
mm,
who to give it. You decide what questions to ask. That's a model that we've built, and
mm.
we should be able to give it to you in 6 months from now. Test
Wonderful.
it,
So this is you're going to give directly to the consumer
consume.
versus going to the hospital. Yeah.
Yes. Right now, what we built is being vetted, being trained by the doctors. Each time we propose a diagnosis and
Mm,
the doctor says no, and he corrects it, it'll
mm.
remind him, no, 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 you're wrong. I did this because of ABC data points. And if he
Correct.
still
Correct.
overrides it, it learns.
We understood.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
build these
It's a
loops, learning
yeah,
loops.
feedback loops. Yeah. Yeah. Understood. Yeah. I'm so excited for that. It's like I think that's the best what product versus individualized for diabetes or one chronic. I think personalized, that's a big takeaway for me, and glad you guys are building it, and I'll will look forward that whenever it is going to be ready in the market. So I think we covered all our questions. Is there anything else I sent you as questions? So, okay, tell me where we should invest. We have money today, the investors in healthcare. Where do you think we should invest? Um,
I think vertically, if healthcare is your interest, there are technologies and longevity that you could invest in that
mm,
will make a mark. But what you should be wary of is somebody says, "Oh, with age, amount of XYZ depletes, put it back."
mm,
That I wouldn't invest in those kind of companies.
mm,
A, because the threshold for entry is very low, because anybody can do that, like NAD infusions, anybody can do that.
mm, mhm, mhm,
As you
mhm,
see, every spa, every um, Mary Spa, or even a beauty aesthetic clinic in Miami does this today.
mhm, mhm,
I would not
mhm,
invest in something like that. I
mm,
would invest in something where the technology is patentable and it is reliable and the
mhm.
threshold for entry is higher. And then
Yeah.
it's going to have certain life cycle and it's scientifically strong hypothesis driven.
Mm,
That's what I would invest in.
gotcha.
And I told you I'm going to talk about CRISPR very quickly, right? Do you want me
Yes, yes.
to?
Talk about CRISPR. Yes.
Can I just
CRISPR is,
send a text?
you
Text,
said
please?
just
Mhm.
invest in CRISPR's technology that everybody has access to today, right? It's public. Mm,
Yeah, it's public, but then so then if you invest in a public company, what's going to be your upside?
yeah.
If you short the stocks, maybe you will make money. Then you give away in taxes, right? So for me, what I would do is I want to
Mm,
take calculated risk. For example, I used to invest as well before, but now
mm.
I am investing in my company. So far, all the money has gone from my pocket.
Personal money. Yeah. Okay.
This is how much I believe in what I'm building, right?
Mm, mhm.
So, yeah, I would say invest in us. That'll
Of
be,
course.
yeah.
Mm,
But apart from that, there are CRISPR technologies. There are three improvements that have happened, which are going
mm,
to take CRISPR from the first basket that I talked about to the
mm,
third basket as well.
mm.
One is, CRISPR is like a pair of scissors that
Right.
goes
Right.
in and cuts the
Mm.
gene.
Gene. Yeah.
So that means what was happening was it was able to cut only one gene at a time.
Mm,
Now what's happened, it can repair multiple genes at the same time
mm,
because most diseases are multi-genetic in origin. That means they're
mm,
affected by multiple genes. So if there is
mm,
one set of therapeutic modality that goes in and repairs that many genes in that many locations,
mm.
then you have a better chance. Because I
Right.
was not gung ho about CRISPR earlier.
CRISPR. Mm,
Now I am. And the second improvement is
mm.
if you cut off a gene or you repair a gene, it becomes an irreversible event.
Okay. Mm,
If something goes wrong, you won't be able to revert back,
mm,
right? We
mm.
don't know the long term downstream effects of it. Whereas
Right.
now what's happened, CRISPR has improved one step, so you're able to modify the gene at an epigenetic level, which is reversible. That means you're not
Okay.
attacking at the gene level, but you're attacking at the mRNA or the next level so that you're modifying whether it's expressed, not expressed, how much is expressed, so that you can always revert it back.
Okay. Okay.
The third thing that's happened is there was something called off target effect. That
Mm,
means if you wanted to edit gene A, there was no 100% guarantee that it would edit only gene A. It would edit
mm,
gene B and gene C somewhere. So it would be a collage. So if you remember
mm,
10 years ago in China, even before CRISPR technology was like perfected, somebody went and
mm,
did experiments in humans.
mm, mm,
He wanted to make those babies because the parents had HIV. He wanted to make the babies that were not yet born
mm,
resistant to HIV. So he went and mutated or CRISPR edited the receptor
mm,
gene for HIV.
mm,
But what the babies that were born were mosaics. That means some cells didn't have the receptor, some cells had the receptor. It
mm,
was a chaotic experiment. But fortunately, now they're able to minimize or almost
mm,
remove the off target effects. And lastly,
mm,
they're not only able to destroy the gene, they're able to activate the gene itself. So that means
mm,
it's both the things are possible.
mm,
You
mm,
can
mm, mm.
make the gene that's gone silent, act.
Right.
For example, sickle cell anemia, right?
Right. Right.
There is sickling effect. So instead of being a perfect disc that's able to carry oxygen like that, or
Mm,
the hemoglobin molecule in the red blood cells, it's sickle, so it can't carry oxygen. That's why all the downstream effects happen.
mhm,
Now, two ways. One is you can edit the sickle cell gene,
mm,
hemoglobin,
mm,
or you can activate a fetal hemoglobin because that's not sickled,
mhm.
right? So that if that is expressed, then it can help carry oxygen even in patients that have
Right.
sickle cell anemia. So these are all possibilities. So I'm very excited about
That's
uh,
huge. I mean, CRISPR has been there for a little bit, but the kind of initially it was only reading the genes, right? Reading through it came to editing, and now what you kind of explained to me, it's come a long way. And you
yes.
said it falls. I always have questions. Sorry, I think little. Let me say this.
Sure.
You said it started in the first bucket. It'll come to the third bucket. So third bucket is where you are with your
Chronic
chronic
diseases.
diseases. So I'm thinking, how would CRISPR play in your bucket? So more from treatments and diagnostics standpoint, at a gene level, is that what you're, is it more of a
Sure.
therapies, right?
So for me, CRISPR, so if I'm able to manage the disease, right? So
Mm,
if you take the last basket,
mm,
80% of diseases, there's
mhm,
a huge population that does not have any disease today. There's a
mm.
huge population that's moving towards the disease because the progression has already started. And there's a large population that already has disease
Yes.
manifestation,
Yeah.
right? And different degrees of progression. Our tool is unique so that it can manage all the three baskets of people within that
Mm,
last
mm,
chronic disease category.
mhm,
So, for people that do not have the disease today, are perfectly normal from a diagnostic perspective, because
mm.
chronic diseases don't happen overnight. It's not like turning a switch, flipping a
Correct.
switch. They take
Correct.
20 to 30 years. So, if the
Right.
transition has not set in, we can even
Mm,
retard the rate of transition or
mm.
decrease the rate of transition. But if they've already developed a disease, that's when all these CRISPR technologies would come into play,
Okay.
because we
Great.
can through our tool we can only manage, but then the opportunity that we have as a company and similar companies we have is we'll be
Mm,
able to help them better
mm,
administer the technologies, better develop the technologies, and most importantly we'll be able to segregate the technology patients that receive. So not all patients, so even if you take an age old vaccine, right,
mm,
like hepatitis B vaccine, it
mm,
works only in 70% of the people. 30% of the people just don't respond to hepatitis B vaccine. They're called
mm,
refractory. What
mm,
makes them refractory? Lots of studies have been done. But
mm,
even now, when we go to any hospital, including hospitals in the US, when I go in, I'm a dentist. Oh, you are in a high risk profession for hepatitis B virus infection. We'll
mm,
give you a vaccine. Great. Does
mm,
it work? Are they checking? Of course, they'll
mm,
check 1 year later. But what if I get infected by then?
mm,
If I'm
mm.
in that refractory population?
Right. Right.
That is what technology such as ours will help segregate the patient or stratify the patients, make sure that the
Mm,
population that requires and responds a particular treatment is the only population that will get it.
correct. Correct. Yeah.
There was a paper in Nature about 10 years ago which clearly said that 50 people that take statin, because it's one
Mhm,
of the most prescribed medicines in the history of medicines, right?
mm, mm,
Out of
mm.
50 people, 49 people do not benefit.
Oh, really?
There's one person. This is a Nature paper. It was a study that was done. 1%
Mm,
benefits. That means
mm.
49 are spending money. The
Yeah.
healthcare system, the reimbursement system is spending money.
Mhm.
They're taking it, they're compliant, they're not getting benefited, but there is not a single drug without side effects today.
True, true,
So
true.
that means they're just going through
Mm,
suffering from the side effects without actually benefiting from it. That's what we want to stop. I think that is both at a microeconomic level and the macroeconomic level is just huge impact.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge impact. I mean, it's, I mean, I'm very sold. So in order to, what are you looking at that at this? You're not at pre-seed. I'm thinking you're at seed level funding. Where are you right now in your journey?
So, fortunately for
Series.
us,
Mm,
fortunately for us, AI companies don't need a lot of money. We
mm,
are infrastructure intensive. We need
mm,
GPUs and we need people, right?
mm, mm.
Highly talented people. They come
Yeah.
at a cost. But fortunately for me, I'm able to absorb both. What
Mm,
I would need money is to go to marketing, GTM. These are the kind of
mm,
things. And when we actually do the GTM, we install in the hospitals, that's where our infrastructural cost becomes expensive.
mm.
So, and also, I don't really believe in this classical pre-seed, seed, series
Seed and
A, right?
Series A.
Because if you're going to the market, we are already series A.
Yeah, yeah, you're already Series A. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so I'm looking to raise about $2.5 million, and that could be the only amount I'll raise because based on my calculation, we are already in the market.
You're in
And
the
if
market. Yeah,
any of
yeah.
these discussions I'm going to have, I'm talking currently to one corporate hospital that has presence across the globe. It's a Japanese hospital chain I'm talking to. I'm
Mm,
speaking to the global COO. He's happy to introduce me to that his IT team so that they can evaluate what we've built. And then I'm
mm,
already in a 500-bed hospital in India.
mm,
It's a charitable hospital. And then I'm speaking to a 1,000-bed hospital in India and a 500-bed hospital. And they also have branches in Dubai. And in
mm,
China, I'm speaking to a large public hospital, but in China also, it's mostly networking place. So we are looking at multiple clinics.
mm,
Consortiums is what we call them. There are three tiers. Somewhere in the middle is the consortiums. We want to
mm,
market
mm,
through the consortium. So,
mm, mm,
but
mm, mm,
China, we have the money because Chinese operations are different, and the government is
mm,
happy to
mm,
fund us.
mm, mm, mm. Sounds good. Good to know. You're already proliferated globally. You're trying to install and get there. So I'm wishing you all the best, and we hope to see success in all your ventures, all the hospitals you're going. We like to stay in touch and understand where things are. And as you said, we are also your customers when you're ready for
Sure.
direct B2C. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love your help in connecting
Mm.
me to this person that you
Yes.
talked to.
Yeah. In Dubai, I have connections. He's an investor and plus has lot of connections established. I will connect you in Dubai and in Hyderabad. I'm from Hyderabad.
Mhm.
So I have full of doctors in my family, retired doctors, not very active doctors. They were doctors, now they have pharma companies. So any introductions I can do there. There are pharma companies in Hyderabad. My husband's family owns a pharma company. So I can introduce there too. But the Dubai one will be promising. He will
Yeah.
definitely help
And
you.
also, I am my plan now is to go to
Mm,
Dubai, India, because I have to
mm,
speak to these corporate hospitals in India, and then I have somebody who owns multiple hospitals in Malaysia. So
mm,
he also wants to come in as an advisor. So I have to have discussions with him, and then I will go to China as well. So it's going to be a trip for 1 year, 1 month.
mm.
It's going to be exhausting.
But yeah, but you're producing results. So even though it's exhausting, it's exciting because there are results. It's happening. Things are moving
Yeah,
for
we are a
you.
women-owned, women-run company.
I figured from what you said, your co-founder and the
Yeah.
main people in your company. So also, Jyoti, I typically don't disclose this, but I am part of a group called Tiger 21. Um, I don't know if you heard of what Tiger 21 is. You can look it up. So it's a community, high net individuals. They talk investments, and they have, this is where I kind of came to, Mayo Clinic, and they kind of have a longevity solutions for this community, and anyways, personalized one with
Mhm.
hefty price. So if there is a profile or a company thing, I can put your profile and the company and ask, and not even ask, visibility, whatever you want, out to the community who are all very investors, or could be helping in different way. I don't know what might come out from it, but I think
Sure, why not?
definitely something I can put out there and
So
FYI to
let me tell
people.
you another thing that I have in mind
Yeah.
because I'm always looking at what next, right?
Yeah.
Because this company, if I'm able to raise money and marketing, people don't need me, right?
Mm,
Of course,
mm,
I can spend 60%, 50% of my time. I'm looking at, I have an oncologist friend in India. We want to build an highly personalized longevity slash oncology clinic or hospital in
mm, mm.
UP.
In India?
In UP, yes.
In UP? Okay.
Because
Mm-hmm.
he's very connected to the
Mm,
health minister of UP and they're supporting us. So that's one stop. And
mm,
I think that's an opportunity only
mm,
because if the tool is suggesting things and if you're able to match it with technologies that might not be available everywhere in the world but only in some isolated pockets, then if we can combine all of that together and have a branch in Dubai, I think that'll make a lot of money for one and it'll create a lot of impact.
mm, mm.
So I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
really looking forward to it.
Mm.
And this time when I go, him and I are starting a cancer podcast as well because
Nice.
we want to
Mm,
just pick each other's brain because I'm a scientist and he's an oncologist of 30
mm,
years experience.
mm, mm, mm.
So we want to pick each other's brains and we want to do myth busting videos and all that, all those
Nice.
things. So
Nice.
that's
Nice.
what is happening. But if you're interested in joining hands with us and if you want to be a part of the discussions,
Mm.
happy to get you into it. Because then you
Wonderful.
also are a longevity enthusiast, and then
Mm.
we, of
Yeah.
course, are. So,
Yeah. 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 Of course. Well, and you want, being an expert, both of you, you want a layman's point of view, or layman type kind of questions, which I can represent well.
oh, but let me tell you, I think that's an understatement. I see the kind of questions you're asking, and I mean,
Thank
normally
you.
I am a very hand wavy person.
Uh-huh.
And the kind of questions you're asking, making me speak and want to speak. So I would not put you in the layman category. And we are highly, highly focused on things, right? For
Mm,
example,
mm,
he cannot even speak business terms.
mm, mm.
That's why he's like, oh, please. But then it's like half blind leading another full blind. So somebody business savvy like you would be a dream come true for us.
Definitely. Then I would love to. If there's value, you see a value in me being there, would love to. Yeah, we will. And all the power to the women founders and women investors, and let's make it happen.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. It was lovely talking to you. Call me. Let's be friends. Call me anytime. Any questions, I'm happy
absolutely.
to answer. I'm always here.
Absolutely love it. So I will be in touch. And let's connect, and few things we talked about as next steps. We will follow through those. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Appreciate it,
Bye.
Jyoti. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye. Bye.